Welcome everybody. My name is Max Farrow. This is the, I guess you can call it the DexFxWorld Webinar, DexFxForex Webinar, whatever you want to call it at this time. I've been away for some time now, but not really. I've had my head down working on various things, from the development of our bot and our system to a new form of a website that we've developed for a particular trading style and process. And many things have been going on the last, I guess for the summer almost. Now, summer's not over, vacation's not over, but the work is coming back to a full time. Now, for me, full time is 14 to 16 hours a day. If any of you know me or if any of you have been here before on these webinars, I want to thank you for being here tonight. We're going to talk about quite a bit tonight. I don't want to overload you, but I want you to get an understanding that the next step of our reality of trading is no longer finding that safety net of trading. It's going to be getting into the real crux of Forex, and what we will be doing is working directly with the Forex systems and processes from this point on. We're still going to be working with Nadex. We're still going to be offering those systems and everything else out there. So don't think that we're changing completely in a different direction. We're adding on another line here, which we needed to do. We needed to diversify just a little bit more, because too many eggs in one basket, as you know, is a bad thing. So what are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about Forex, bots, indicators, and signals, of course. Now, I'm your host, Max Farrow. Some of you that know me know that we have a very large network of traders and systems, and that we have a sincerity behind our will here of trying to get people to get to their idea of success and help as many people as possible. There are some that are in the room that we have helped. There are some that are in that progression of help, which we can definitely understand, but I will be your host and your guide through this webinar this evening. In the future webinars, there will be other people here as well. Brian Farrow, Mike Ficca, maybe even Amy Kuipers a few times. I see some great names in there tonight from some of our previous customers, as well as some of our future customers, hopefully. But we're going to get into talking about a lot tonight. So let's get started. Of course, as you all know me, I hate these risk and earnings disclaimers. It's like, don't drink the Windex, enjoy your life. But make sure that you understand that all trading is risky. Educational and trade assistance only is all the things that we provide, from signals to indicators to education. But it's all about your education, so keep that in mind. What I may do, you may not be able to do, and what you do, I may not be able to do. Why are we here tonight? Well, simply enough, you have to provide the why. I can provide the process, but you have to provide the why. You might be looking to trade the Forex market, or maybe even Nadex. You might be looking for reliable signals. You may be looking for an indicator or a strategy. You may want to make money, a career, maybe even just a hobby, but you're here for a reason. Maybe you're even looking for a community or someone to mentor you, or even just someone to listen to your questions. This is the toughest part, is that trying to find your why is the most difficult part. It was difficult for me, because at first my why was to get revenge on people that ripped me off to get in this industry. Why I wanted to trade the market originally was to diversify my income, to bring in money for my company and for myself, and do so with the knowledge that I'm in a safe environment. Little did I know that this industry is riddled with bullshit artists, people that want to rip you off, steal your money, or cheat you out of your success. So we had to make some companies that would fulfill our why, and that's what we did. But for you, you may not have that luxury of creating a company, but you are looking for certain things. Now, our topics that we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about Forex, the foreign exchange. We're going to talk about signals in this industry. We'll talk about indicators, and lastly, we're going to talk about bots, or expert advisors, EAs. Now tonight, I'm not going to try to teach you everything there is about Forex, but I'm going to give you some overviews of how to choose brokers, what brokers are, what introduction brokers are compared to clearing brokers and things like that, and how the different brokers touch the market or don't touch the market, in order for you to be more aware of trading Forex. Now, Forex, being the foreign exchange, is a very complicated and intricate process. And most people are unaware of some of these idiosyncrasies that happen with that market, with that system. But we're going to help you kind of understand that. Now, there's no direct exchange like the stock market, okay? Because you can go down into New York, go to the New York Stock Exchange and exchange, stocks and all that stuff. But here, for Forex, there's only one major thing. It's called the interbank market. And this interbank is where all the action happens, okay? This is where one bank will talk to another, and we'll discuss that here in the next couple slides. And my biggest advice that you're going to get from all of this, I'm going to give you a little preview, is to remember ECN, Electronic Communication Network. This is the most powerful system within a broker. If they use this, there's only a handful of companies that are ECN that completely attached to the interbank. And those are the ones that you're going to want to work with. And I'll show you what I mean here in the next couple slides. Before I begin, I am not the foremost expert on everything about brokers, but these are the things that I have learned and I have watched out for and that I've sort of put together so you can have an understanding from my level as well. Because I do pretty well within the market once I understood how the market applies and who is working the market. And this little graphic was in my mind and shows me how the level of brokers work within this industry and within this foreign exchange. And I want you to have this as well. This will also be in a video that'll be made available on our YouTube page or YouTube channel. So you can constantly watch us and see what levels that your brokers are at. Now, the first level of brokers that everybody is going to be able to deal with at one point or another is called an introduction broker, an IB. And this introduction broker is like basically the barker, right? It's a group of individuals that have a brokerage that will attach themselves to what we refer to as a prime broker. And these are the guys that'll introduce you to these prime brokers through themselves. Now, the big thing is that the introduction broker is just a go-between. They're not making the deals with you, okay? They're not trading against you. You're trading against the prime broker depending on what level of connection they have with the intrabank. Now, the intrabank, of course, is something that looks like this. All the banks overseas, even US banks, every country's banks, placed into a circle just like this, and they communicate with each other on what each other's currencies are like and what they're trading with. They call this the interbank circle. And this process happens every single day. And they say trillions of dollars a day. 5.3 trillions is a number that goes around. But listen, there's retail traders, there's all these little pockets of information that a lot of people like to tell you. But retail traders only make up a small portion of this amount that gets traded every day. Now, to keep in mind of this graphic here, that market makers and STP do not connect directly to the interbank exchange or the interbank. Okay, so these two particular processes, you're always going to be doing trades against the broker. Okay, and these brokerage firms, okay, like Gain Capital and FXCM, those kind of companies, they're all going to be trading against you. So it's you against them. Now, they do have versions of the electronic communications if they attach themselves to the network. And I'll show you what that looks like here in just a minute. So in a standard brokerage that has just what they call a dealing desk or a market maker, you're dealing, it's you against them, right? They're looking at the market, seeing what the prices are, seeing what the data is. So basically you're making a bet with the broker that that your price is going to go down or it's going to go up, right? So if you say down, and they'll say a buy, and they pit that against you against them. So if you trade with a broker that is just a dealing desk or a market maker or use an STP, you might be just doing a deal with them, okay? And so if it wins or loses, they have to pay you, of course, right? But they're not using the actual interbank to make that exchange. So your little retail trade doesn't affect the market. That's right. I don't know if most of you know that if you're trading with a brokerage firm that doesn't actually attach itself to the market, to the actual interbank, there's no way to affect the market. And even as a retail trader, a small-time trader, are you going to have enough money to actually affect the market? Well, on a micro sale, yeah, because one drop in the bucket, maybe not, but millions, of people trading in this fashion might. But most of the people that trade at these lower levels trade with brokers that don't even touch the market, right? It's like betting, it's like gambling in the alley and throwing dice on the ground kind of thing. Bad analogy, but I don't know if you guys are gamblers, but all right. So another form of brokerage is that they use the STP, straight through processing. Now they may, okay, because they have an opportunity to be able to deal directly with the interbank, but this is usually done with the brokerage contacting the interbanking and doing some connection, right? It's separate from the interbank. There's no direct information that travels automatically back and forth. Okay, so you're still dealing with the brokerage firm, and they have a prerogative to either use the market maker system or keep the trade in-house. Usually most brokers will not trade with people that have an account of a particular size. So the bigger the account, the more possibility you have not to be more possibility you have to be trading directly with the interbank. The lower your account, the more opportunity that they're going to have to trade just directly with you, okay, to bet against you at that point. The STP is not always reliable because it doesn't actually attach to the interbank, and it still has a delay of information that comes back and forth. The final way, and the one that I sort of approve with, is a broker that carries an ECN, an electronic communication network, that deals directly with the interbank exchange. So when you trade with them through their process, either through MetaTrader or their online process, you're directly dealing with the bank and the exchange overseas. Okay, so this is very important, that if you're trading in this fashion, this tells you that there's not going to be any corruption in between that. Not 100% that there never be, and there can always be something, but they don't have an ulterior motive for you to lose at that point, because you're just dealing with other retail traders and commercial traders, or throughout the interbank. They don't have they become more of an exchange than anything else at that point. Okay, so they'll still make money on the bid-ask spread if you know anything about that. If not, then there's other training inside that'll teach you about that stuff within our systems. But this information is powerful once you begin to see that what type of broker that you choose can actually vary your success. Okay? Now, each one of these could have its own little introduction broker. All right, this is somebody that may, contact you and say, hey, look, you should go to this broker. I can help you out. Introduction brokers are not all bad, okay? They may be good to have when, if something happens with your trade, or you see some slippage, or you see something happening, maybe something didn't get picked up, or a stop loss didn't trigger, you can contact your IB, who'll go to the broker and fight on your behalf, because they're usually in-house people. It's the broker you're dealing with is probably the owner of that little introduction broker company, and it might be more personable for you. You might know the person by the first name. It's not going to be some phone bank overseas or something. So you might look at doing it and working with an introduction broker. They get paid through the broker themselves, so it's not like you're slipping them some extra bucks and all that stuff. They get paid to help you navigate the systems and become more profitable in the network. They want you to become more profitable, unless you're dealing against the broker and not dealing with an ECN. Then the broker has more of a wants for you to fail. I'll be honest with you. I haven't met a broker with a dealing desk or a market maker situation yet that ever had my best interests involved. Why would they? Market makers, for the most part, exchange trading firms are market makers because it really doesn't behoove them to trade directly with the interbank, because your money is too small for it to make that effect, and they need large amounts of money to be able to do that. They don't work with small retail trades. The interbank exchange deals with hundreds of thousands of dollars on traders, and so accounts that have these kind of funds in it, they reserve for those ECNs. There are a few companies that have a a process of an ECN, but usually you have to pay more for an account. You have to have a bigger account balance. One that comes to mind, and again, we don't get paid from any companies. We don't get affiliations, we don't get commissions, we don't get anything from any company out there. We never will. We've been offered a lot of money to become an introduction broker. We've been affiliate. We've been asked to become affiliates to send people to our list. We have millions of people on lists for trading, and we deny to do any of that. We don't want to bring you or force you into a trade or a brokership that will end up hurting you at one point or another. So you got to go into that with your eyes wide open. Plus, if we see something, you know that we'll tell you that we see something bad or good about that broker, and you can trust that. That transparency is important for you, because you need to know that the people that are supplying you information and training and education don't have an ulterior motive that I'm just making money on you from the brokerage, right? I want to make money on you because you're paying me for a service that you can trust within us, okay? And it does you well. If it doesn't do you well, then I don't want your money. I don't want to be in business. I'm not into business to hurt people. I want people to be successful and avoid the negativity and the persistent pain in the ass bullshit artists that are out there. Okay, so this is all about information at this point. Like I've warned before, the STPs, the straight through processing, is not as reliable, but it still has a purpose. You might be able to get some brokerage that are out there. One broker for the ECN, one broker that is out there that has direct is Forex.com does, TradersWay.com does. There's a few other ones that are out there, but that I don't know about, so I won't mention their names. But I know for those two, they do, and they're both highly regulated here in the United States. Is another big thing as well. Oh, there they are. Yep, Forex.com and TradersWay. The ECN is very important again because it does attach to the network. There is a lot more device and process that happens with an ECN with that communication network, because there's more reliability to that information. You know, the trades get cleared faster. The information gets delivered faster. There's no major delay in that information. So those are always really important things, because I look at how's my investments, how are they protected, and stop losses and take profits and being able to navigate in and out of the market is very important, especially with a company that has that ECN available, because you might get stopped up and not get bought up when your stop loss comes up. If you guys don't know what that is, don't worry. You can learn a lot more inside of our network. But stop loss is basically a protection against failure of your trade diversion, right? So if you've got a good stop loss in there and it gets overlooked or overshot, or there's slippage or whatever you want to call it, it's usually because all the brokers say, well, your stop loss didn't hold because there was a lot of people who were buying and it's first come first serve, all that kind of bullshit, right? There is something to say that, market makers, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened with dealing desks and market makers, even with the straight through processing people. Okay, there've been a lot of negativity in that industry, or that part of it. But I haven't heard anything too negative about ECNs. If you have, write me at max@dexsignals.com or max@dextrader or max@dexindicators.net. You can write me at any one of the websites. You can even call the number that's on the website. And let me know of that information if you do see anybody on it with an ECN network that has bad reviews about an ECN. Okay, so they've gotten a bad hit, and justifiably so, right? But they've made some efforts to make those dealing desk and market maker situations better that I've seen in some companies. Not all of them, but some of them. Forex.com is one of them, and TradersWay is another one. But again, I'm just getting into TradersWay right now, and seeing how they deliver and withdraw and provide that process. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing with their customer service and a few other things. There's also, we provide signals and information and education on working with NADEX. That's the North American Derivative Exchange. Some of you have heard of them, some of you may not have. It is a powerful exchange, but they too trade in a different format. They don't touch the Forex market. They don't touch futures. They don't affect the market. They don't affect anything. They're basically, the NADEX exchange it creates a house for market makers and other traders and you to trade against each other. So if you say a buy, they say, if you say a call or a bid or an offer, they're on the opposite end of the trade. Now, they've got some nuances, right? That every contract is worth $100. So if you buy it for 20, somebody else is buying it for 80, so it has to equal 100. And if you win your 20 and they lose their 80 or what have you. So there's this little nuance. And we have this program inside our system called Nadex Ninja that teaches you all about the process in there. But there's something to say for this factor as well. It doesn't touch the market, so it's just watching the data or futures data and seeing what that market is. It applies an indicative price in it, and it allows you to trade. I'm telling you this is because that this is another opportunity to use Nadex instead of attaching to Forex, because it's highly regulated over here in the United States. All of its money is over here. Also, there is a lot of opportunity to be able to get into more trades with less risk. But with that, you've got to really have a good system for Nadex. Okay, you just can't go in with some 80% success rate. You have to have a good process. You can't be buying contracts for 15 or 10, 15 bucks with an 80% success rate, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose money overall. You have to be very careful with Nadex, because there is, I won't say slippage, because you can only lose up to whatever money you put in. You can only lose that amount that you per trade. So you can't go past that. They won't go after you for other money if you lose a trade. It can't go into your pocket, right? With Forex, if your stop loss slips or you don't put one on and it drops off the face of the earth for you in the opposite direction, you could lose. Not only they could margin call you out, but they could also go after you for the other money you would owe them, because most brokers lend you money to trade. And that's what leveraging is. And you'll find out about more of that inside. The biggest thing to watch for any broker or exchange is it regulated by the US? Or is it regulated by the networks that needs to regulate it? And you're going to hear all these acronyms, right? And I'm not going to throw them at you tonight because they're nonsense, right? There's all these companies, there's all these all these governmental institutions that are supposed to be these watchdogs for these companies, right? And you see, you can sit and type into Dr. Google, this company, this company, that, scam this company, scam that company. Everybody has some negativity against them somewhere, somehow, right? I haven't found one broker that has some clean slate, even if they're brand new, I can tell, right? But you get a company out there for more than a year, older than a year, they're going to have somebody who hates them, right? Even we have people who hate us. I get it. Even myself. You look up Max Farrow, you see all kinds of good stuff out there, but you see a couple of bad negative things too, right? And I don't shy away from that stuff, because I believe that if you work hard, you're going to fail. You're going to fail it sometimes. Something's going to happen. Something's going to break. You're going to piss somebody off. You can't make everybody happy. And if you try to make everybody happy, you're just going to be hiding shit. So be real with people. And that's all I look for out there in the world. When I'm looking for brokers and I'm looking for systems or strategies or signals or indicators, I'm looking for reality. I'm looking for a clear touch with reality. And that's difficult for people. That's difficult for companies. Most companies can't find that reality because it is fake to them, or they're trying to scam. You can't fake reality. You could put up pictures, you could put up fake screenshots of success, but real people have real things. They have Facebook pages, they have real Facebook pages, they have websites, they have phone numbers you could talk to them, they have email that they get responded from. There's all these things that are reality for them. So the things to watch out for is that, one, that they're regulated. It is illegal for companies overseas or any brokership or any international broker to approach you to get you an account. Okay, especially if it's overseas. If the company's if it's here in the United States, not so much. But overseas, it is illegal for a out of the US company to approach you to get an account with them. It's illegal. Right? They made these legislations in place and regulations in place because there were so many overseas binary networks and all those scammy networks that were just providing really good marketing. fake marketing, but really good marketing. You were putting your money into them, and they were never giving you your money back. They were keeping it. No matter how much you complained or who you complained to, there was nothing you could do. So the biggest thing that I tell anybody who's trying to find a broker to either get into Forex, either use Nadex or find a company that's regulated by the United States, okay, by one process or another. Avoid Cyprus. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what good of a system you have out there, avoid Cyprus and all those overseas networks until you find something that's so solid gold that even you would have to impress me with it as well. But until I see something and I do the research, trust me, I do the research. I can't find one single one. Most of the brokers that offer huge bonuses or any kind of bonus at all, they just want to tie your money up. They want to tie you up in red tape. They want to tie your winnings or your balance or what have you up in red tape so you'll never get rid of it. Most companies have just about every company has, even Nadex has an anti-money laundering schematic, if you will. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Because you won't be able to withdraw that money. If you put $100 into a company, you're probably not going to be able to draw that for at least 2 weeks. The usual normal time for most companies to hold your money so you can't money launder it, right? Just put it in and take it back out, is about 2 weeks. Anybody longer than that, you better start holding them suspect, right? Start small. This is the biggest thing that most traders forget to do, right? Because you're testing stuff out. Start small, win small, withdraw small, right? Because even if the small doesn't go through, then bail, get out of it, right? But most companies will still let you withdraw small amounts. It's once you start building up your balance and you're starting to withdraw $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a week that things start to get tied up, right? Oh, well, you got to put it all back on the original credit card that you paid with. I tell people to put it get it into a debit situation to where your bank, you put it on a debit card that's secure, and you allow it, that's something that can free flow back and forth. And then they'll be wire transferring money to you at that point. And that's okay. But you've got to start small. Even if you hear somebody like myself that says, Trader's Way is pretty good, it's your own personal experience with that company. Okay, you might have great experience with Trader's Way. You may have put money into them and got ripped off. Something may have happened. We had somebody who we recommended Forex.com to somebody, and they had a very bad situation with them. But with one person, with 2 people, with 10 people, it doesn't matter. It's all per the person, right? So every single company, start small, win small, withdraw small. Then once you feel more comfortable, start slowly putting money in and then getting your system on. Let's shift gears just a little bit and we'll talk about signals. Most of you should have an understanding now that the Forex network, because it is separate from anything else that's out there, like the stock exchange and all that stuff is separate from that process. So, and being that it's from the information from the interbank system there, okay, that signals comes from data. And if you're looking for a signal that'll give you a direction on that market so you can trade Forex or Nadex or another exchange, even binaries or what have you, the reality is that you have to have a program that is productive, right? There's a lot of systems out there. There's a lot of signal networks out there. Most of you have probably seen hundreds of them, maybe even thousands, right? But a signal system that spots the direction of a market and delivers that information to you can be via phone or web or Twitter or however you get the signal. This signal, my best advice for all of you is that this signal should be accompanied with support information. If you're trading Forex and you get a signal and it does not have stop loss information or teach you about stop loss or where to place a good stop loss, run for the hills. Don't even touch it. If you have something out there that doesn't give you, like if you're trading with Nadex and it doesn't have the statement that you're supposed to get into or the expiry time in there, run for the hill. I can create a system that says up, down, and randomly put it on to trade information and just hand it to you. Trade now down, trade now up. And that could be considered a signal system. And that's basically a loose term, what every signal system that I've seen out there, besides maybe about 10 or 20 of them from some of the bigger companies out there that are a little bit more reputable, okay? I'm not saying that every single company but us is a scam out there, but there are a tremendous amount of them. So I'm going to give you some key points tonight on what to look for, not just what we do. Why it sounds like I'm kind of feeding you into our system is because I am. I'm feeding you and showing you that our system is made like this with the reality of transparency and honesty and dependableness. Because we found that there weren't a lot of companies out there that were like that. In fact, at the time that we were looking, there were none. There were none that I could depend on 100%. So we decided to make it. So since we searched for so long to try to find something, we knew exactly what we needed to make. The biggest thing to look for in signals is training. You got to have training on how to use it. Every signal is different. Anybody that tells you, yeah, it's just a signal, I give you a number and you go with it or against it. Bullshit. There's a lot more information. If you have a company that's worth anything, worth its salt at all, they better have training. You better have the training on board to show you how to use the signal and to do so effectively. Customer service. If there's a problem, you got to have the availability to talk to somebody, either in chat, in email, or in phone. Luckily, we have all three. We learned a long time ago that I don't care if I have to answer the phone 12 times, 13 times, 20 times a day to get somebody's information right. But it better be done. You better be able to attach yourself because we're talking about money here. So if you're paying for a service, you want to make sure you have that service, but you also need other things as well. There might be secondary information you need. You know, this isn't first nature for everybody, right? Or second nature for everybody. You may want to know where something is at. Now, in all of our systems, we provide a good, I feel, good orientation that tells you where basically everything is, where everything is at. But sometimes there's something missing. You might have a problem logging in or doing something else or where to go or how to go. But we're there for you. We have on-site chat. We have a lot of things in that process. Some of the other things you should look for, excuse me, is that there's other people trading it, that you see other people trading it. How many signal networks you ever know that you go in and you see a chat room and there's a bunch of people trading and they're all doing their own thing, right? You got somebody who goes in and yells out a number or says, there's a possibility you can go up or down. If it does this, go down. If it does this, go up. And no, I'm sorry. That's a trading room. You want to see other people that are trading with the signals and are being successful or working on their success. And that's what we have as well. We have chat rooms in the network. We have, we show our customers results, those that share their results with us. We have a journal network with all of our systems to provide information for the traders. Okay, because and this is what bleeds into the next one, history or a data center. You want to know that we keep track on how successful our systems are. That's very important because the success of our system, which creates the longevity in our network, needs to be shown. You need to know that it's a real company that is really doing it. Some of you that are here for your very first time, you're going to want to see that, whether it's through our company or what. If you can't find it, if you can't see where our history is, then you don't know if this can be successful for you or not. Now, success in the signal is not about trades, right? Our signal system can be traded in several different ways. We have a lot of different signal networks, but the trades, the signals themselves can be traded in many different formats. You can go just plainly with the signal. You can go with the signal and trim fat and do some pretty crazy stuff that you'll find out inside. There is choke up opportunities for our Nadex networks. There's so many different ways to trade it because there's so many different mentality of traders. Why do we have so many different signals? For that reason alone, that there's a lot of different type of mentality of traders. There's some that like long-term for our dailies. There's some that like short-term, like our 5-minute trades. There's some that want Forex signals. Just give me that and a stop loss and a take profit and send me down the road. I want to follow every single signal. I want to just use the US network or the US session. But you need to see this data Things to avoid in most companies that provide signals. Of course, almost like the opposite of what to look for a company. But I'm talking about the data. You got to look at data. You need to see real data, historical data, stuff that takes you back a little, right? I know companies have to start out and do, like we had to have our first day, right? But we stood on our principles and our values and our transparency being the first day, working with people. Our price was low at that time, right? I think our first prices that we had out for signals was like, I think it was like what Amy, like $73 or $47 or whatever it was for our first 20 customers or whatever it was. We've grown in that number because the reliability of our signals is very high. Okay. Other things to avoid: companies with poor websites and no contact info, like their phone is the biggest thing. You got to have a phone number on there, right? Very, very important to watch out for are these just pop-up little companies that, you know, hey, come out, try my free signals, just give me your information. These are guys that are looking to bleed information from you. Okay, so you got to be careful. There's a lot of companies out there that will just try to put you into a list to sell you other products, and it's just nonstop. Throw this program at you every single day. You see something in your, I signed up for one, and I kid you not, I made an email specifically for looking at other companies when I first started. And that email still gets about 4 to 6 emails a week from this company asking me to buy all different types of products, not theirs, but other people's as well. So affiliate networks do that. They offer free signals just to get your contact, and then they try to send you stuff until you're dead. All right, we talked about Forex, we talked about signals. Now let's talk about indicators. Now indicators are a little bit different. Most of you know through MetaTrader 4 or Ninja Trader or some other system you may want to use. Indicators are attachments to the charts that you can use, right? Now, this is a tough one because there are just as many indicators as there are types of people and different mentalities of traders. There's a lot of different indicators. So don't feel overwhelmed. We became very good at taking the complicated and making it very simple. And the simplicity of this network, it comes down to you only really need a handful, maybe 4. I only use 2. I'll be honest with you. I got to a point where I use, and we can count it as 3 because I use the signals. That's right. I use the signals. I use the signals to trade with. And I use 2 other indicators, a support and resistance and our Dex MACD, which is a souped up MACD, right? A moving average convergence and divergence indicator. And I use those 3 things and those 3 elements with some trading styles to do very well for myself. Okay? And using those indicators, I use them only as a tool, as an asset for me. I don't use them to predict the signal or to predict the system for me. There are signal indicators with our DexIndicators.net company, but I primarily I might use that signal indicator with my primary indicators, support and resistance, and Dex MACD. So I might use those 3 systems if I was doing that. But because our signals are so reliable, I use our signals and those 2 indicators to create this process for myself. And I create a flow, and that's how I trade. I use it for entry and exit positions. I use it to look left and create what we call structure and look for that structure where I trim the fat, or I might be zeroing out my trades to get myself to break even or protect my profit margin or what have you. I become very proactive with my system. I don't rely on my indicators as the sole reality of my life or as a trader, okay? Because the indicators don't make the trader. The trader uses the indicators to build his portfolio. And once you realize that, once you know that you're in charge of this, that you're just not at some whim of some indicator, you begin to see and feel empowered. And because you can see that in the trade, the trade empowers you to be able to do and follow that process. You begin to see that you now are in charge of everything that you do. That's my Tony Robbins minute, okay? All right. I want to talk about this, a little segue in between now and the next segment for the bot, but I want to talk to you about price action, support, and resistance, okay? One of the biggest things in trading, what really helped me, was knowing how to really recognize support and resistance on my own with even out an indicator, to be able to see structure and where things are up and down and what a trend looks like and those things. That's very, very important, all right? Because the market is comprised of humans that are mostly making decisions, okay? But there's always conflict. There's that war, right? The war between the bear and the bull. And that usually happens at certain times or levels or pricing levels or what have you. So learning how to look left and begin to see those patterns is very important, because you'll begin to understand how to easily make decisions just by simply looking left, right? Now, before we move on, I want to show you what I mean by just that. You've heard me say that about structure and looking left. And this is sort of what, well, this is MetaTrader 4 that's in right now. And I'm on a blank chart. There are no indicators you can kind of see on this chart. And I've done this demonstration a few times in the past, but I just want to do something very clear for all of you on how powerful price action trading, and I'm not talking about price action trading by looking at pin bars and shooting stars and hammers and all that stuff, right? Just gloriously looking at levels, right? Knowing that very systematically that this is a very powerful level right here, because you see how many times it has touched that market, right? And you may not be able to see the numbers, but at 8, this is the Euro USD on a 15-minute chart. But levels can be asserted at any level of chart. And you see, this is the line I just put on. But yet on the 1-hour chart, it's still showing that this is still a very powerful line. I mean, I could see if I was on a 1-minute chart, you know, and it doesn't really have a lot of structure to look at, but we're on a 15-minute chart. Look at this. That's huge. Even if I hit an M30 or minute 30 or 1 hour or even a 4-hour or even a daily, it's still a pretty powerful network, because it came up on a daily and hit it 3 times over 3 days. 1885. Very powerful, right? And you can see that. So the next time it comes up to that level, you can recognize that, okay? You can find other levels easily enough by just seeing where can I get the most touches at. Gives you another powerful level. Now, the difference between support and resistance, that is when the line is, when the market is underneath the line, this is referred to as resistance, and when it's above the line, it's referred to as support. And knowing where these two levels are, knowing how to adjust yourself to them, okay? Because once it breaks through, once it closes, the bar closes over that line, it now becomes the opposite. So if it was support, it now becomes resistance. These things are very rudimentary in price action trading. But you begin to see that coupled with signals, the indicators that one gives you a support and resistance value, is that they're very, very important, especially if they're just being met, if they're being rejected. Use a little bit of information from the DexMACD, they're very powerful. And that information only comes once you get the knowledge on how to do that and to spot what we refer to as the trend. Which way is the market going overall? You could see very clearly that this is a major power move. Well, of course, this was the NFP back on the 4th of August, last Friday. Okay? And you see that this movement, this impulsive move that happened over a period of 5 or 6 bars, took a long time to come back to that point, this reactive move again. And then what did it do again today? Another impulsive move where it began to move again back up into its direction. Once you begin to see that this was a level that was touched, this was a level that was touched, that's a pretty powerful level, at one time or another it's going to reject it and keep on going, because that's what this pair does. So once you're able to see price action at its minimalist, okay, once you're able to see and how to adjust and find where different structure is at and what can be used for your information while you're making the trades on entry price and exit pricing, you basically have the secret, because you're able to see that at its primal view. And that is one of the most important lessons that saved me as a trader, because I was all over the place. I was trying to find all these indicators and these solutions and these systems to try to give me the answers, And the answer was staring me at in the face. I removed all the bullshit that was on my screen after I got this from a gentleman called Chris Capri, a very powerful company out there in his trading style. Now, that's the one thing that I was able to take away from his network and understand when I was learning how to trade, because I didn't go to his company after I made my company. It was, I made my company because I couldn't find something directly from him. He gave me great information, but I wanted to be able to help other people. So I give him props for that because he opened my eyes up to price action. Now, all the other stuff about shooting stars and pins and all that stuff, I usually don't use a lot of that information. So there's still value there, but it sort of expands my mind too far because it sends me down the rabbit hole. Too much information at that point. All right, at this time, let's finish up the evening with talking about bots. And as everything else that I've shown you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, lately it seems like bots are very popular, right? A bot, an expert advisor, is usually something that will trade the market for you or provide you a signal or what have you, right? An EA, an expert advisor for MetaTrader or what have you on a chart system, can be very powerful, can work for you, but you have to be able to work it. You have to know how to use it, and you have to be able to handle when shit goes wrong. Remember, you're attaching something that can automatically trade. What happens if that software breaks or something breaks down with it? You're screwed. If it trades automatically and you're in a live situation and there's no, I don't know, safety protocols with the system, and it puts in a trade for the opposite direction or makes a mistake, or, you know, hey, listen, I haven't found one infallible piece of software yet, even my own. Things happen all the time. But you got to have a plan. You got to know how to use your system. You got to know when to turn it off. I even made a mistake a couple of weeks ago where I forgot to turn my bot off when it was trading for me. And it gapped over the weekend, and I lost 175 bucks. I'll be honest with you. I even make mistakes using a bot. But the bots that I've seen lately out there all have short-term information. They don't have a good follow-through of data. You know, they all promise you that I'm going to go to bed poor and I'm going to wake up rich. How many of you have seen those? You've seen these guys out there like, my bot had 97% success. And you get in there and it's like, well, yeah, for 2 days. And then now it's you know, 40%. I can't use that, right? Plus, the big question that I always used to get, right, when we were going to be we made a bot, and I'll tell you about that here in a second. But I always got, well, if these guys were making bots, why would they sell it to anybody? Why wouldn't they just use it for themselves and make millions? Well, because we do. we don't make millions, but we make good money, right? Most bots only work for a short period of time because they exploit a process, either through time, right, or a loophole. There's one that I know of recently. I won't mention the name because I think it's in poor taste, but there is a company out there that was exploiting the British gold pound USD or the Great Britain pound USD time frame at the last part of the day from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. There's a strategy out there on how to trade that pair at that time period. If it's facing in a different direction by quarter after, you go within that direction and blah blah blah, bada bing bada boom. You got a decent trade value of high success rate, right? And you could usually get about 5 to 10, maybe even 20 pips at sometimes during that time period. But it only works a certain period. Now, most brokers will either make the bid-ask spread really huge for that time to make it almost impossible to cover during that short period of time, and this negates that trade 90% of the time now. But they sold that bot to over 5,000 people. And the reason why the brokers got savvy to it is because they sold it to 5,000 people. You understand? So the bot will be only as effective as, one, the people using it, two, however long the brokers decide to let it be used. That's when the bot exploits people, when it exploits the loophole or a time period, right? So how do you make a bot that doesn't? Well, bots are BS until you know how to use them anyway, right? Any bot that anybody has out there, you know, they show you a my effects book data sheet, or you could trick that thing nine ways to Sunday anyway. Any confirming network out there has its way to be beaten. Trust me, I've seen it. Right? I've seen so many versions of the same bot be released in so many different facets. It's crazy, and people still fall for the same thing over and over. They're still paying $247 for one thing or another. Now, when it comes down to it, every single pair acts differently within a system, right? Here, let me show you something, and I'll try to make this extremely brief. But Dex, I was trying my cursor. All right, so if the pair for, let's just say the Euro USD, right, acts a certain way, does everybody agree in the room that the Euro USD acts differently during the US session than it does for the, let's say, London session or even the Asian session? Does it have almost 3 different mentalities or 4 different mentalities per each session? Does it climb a certain amount? Does it move over a period of time in one direction or another? Of course it does. It has nuances in each and every session that it's in, right? Well, so does the Euro JPY, right? Sorry, JPY, right? So does the EJ. The EJ also has a different way that it acts in all 3. Now, most bots just give you an algorithm to place over every single asset, and you hope for the best. You hope you get a good success rate or a bad success rate. But it really comes down to the effectiveness of the variables. Depending on the bot and how well it can work and what variables it uses, the more variables it has, the more information there is to take in consideration. The more information, the more ways there are to trade every single one. Now you have to times that by 4 because every single session has its own variable pack that it has to be used with. Now, do you think any of the bots that you've been dealing with ever dealt with those kind of things? I don't think so. I've only met maybe 1 or 2 companies that have ever taken in consideration what they call data value. And data value sort of looks like, well, here, let me show you what our data system looks like, our signal system for Forex on here on DexFxWorld.com, what it looks like. Let me get over there real quick, and here, okay? This is an actual working page of it. It's clear of all the other websites, because I don't want to confuse you and add a whole bunch of advertising and stuff around, but this is the page, right? This is my personal page. And if I refresh, you can see that it's a real-time, okay? So this isn't just some static image, right? This is real-time signals. These are signals that released today, even up to a short period of time ago. Yes, there are losses. God forbid, and it's 100% because I dropped dead, right? So the point is that this is all historical data, not of trades, but of signals that we delivered at the exact time we delivered them and their expiry time. I know. I just said expiry time on a Forex, right? Why would I do that? Well, simple. Because we tell you to go look at the trade at this time. This 45-minute time period, this 1-hour time period, has been put in as a variable within the trading style. Why? Because we know that when the signal hits, it has about this 1 hour to 45-minute extension of that direction. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. But during that time, there are certain triggers that you can follow to exit the trade at certain processes. Now, why wouldn't I show that? Why wouldn't I show you what the success rate is of the system that trades it automatically? Well, I am right now. This signal network here also trades on my account and trades to this level of success. Now, as you see, some you see 59%, some you see 64%. So what does it really come out to you? Here, I'll show you how I compile it. Here's where August is right now. And August is set into, this is trading on Forex, okay? So this is how many pips the company has won from that process, trading every signal through the bot on our side. And I'll tell you why we don't release the bot and all that stuff in here in a second. But it comes down to this. We don't make a ton, right? We're right about in that area. Why? Because I don't go to a standard lot yet. Trust me, there's a whole lot of craziness once you start getting up to that line, right? And we're a little bit bigger than the micro lot. So in the last 7 days, only making $476 per mini lot. If I have 10 mini lots in there, that equals a standard lot. If I have 5, that's a half a standard, and you can kind of do the math from there. So you can see that there is a great possibility. Now, if you traded this, if you had the bot and all that stuff, there's a lot of variables to keep in track of. And why don't we release the bot? Why don't we put the bot out there? Well, it's simple. We do have a bot. Oh, by the way, say hi to Dex. I made that. Yeah, I actually designed that. That's pretty cool, right? But there is a part of the process. Our bot uses price action via what we call movement and volume. It also uses time immersion. That's right. When the market's moving over a certain period of time and it hits a certain level, our bot takes a snapshot of that time period. It says, okay, with support and resistance and the value and everything from the previous, we are going to call a sell for this trade if it hits this level. If it doesn't hit that level, we're going to call for a buy, right? Very simple. But it's complicated through the networking. It takes in consideration the support and resistance and validates that direction by using the levels and actions of the pair itself. And remember when I was talking that there's all these different time frames you got to kind of keep in process? Well, the bot does that too. It checks whether or not those time frames have been applied, and it alters itself. I know, right? Sounds too AI-y, right? Let me show you. Kind of looks like this. Not kinda. This is it. That's right. Take a snapshot, do whatever you need to do, because try to recreate it. It's completely up to you. If you have $200,000 and a lot of time, go ahead. Now the bot makes itself, and it can change. I can change this manually, but it changes as well. I can put it on automatic and allow it to change its own variables. And once I do that, I create the variables, as you can kind of see in here, to trade the different markets that it does, stop loss and take profits. Yes, why don't I have a take profit in there? Because I'm a badass. I have a stop loss. Of course, every one of my trades has a stop loss, but I don't put a take profit on some of them. I can change the lot size, I can change a whole bunch of stuff, but this is just the primary variables. Okay, I can change the time frame, some of the other proprietary information that's in there. I could change a lot of it, right? This bot was created for, as you can probably see up here, the DEX NA intraday signals. That's right. Over 2 years ago, about almost 2 years ago, the DEX indicator or DEX signals network, we created this bot to derive and build the signals. This is the primary engine of DEX signals. And I just showed you all live on a webinar what it looks like. Why? Because I need you to have an understanding that we are a real company, that we have made these things. I could call it some fancy name and we can have fun and try to release this out there, but there's too many damn variables for you to check off. Plus, you would have to have the data as well. You know, the workload that it does, that it scans the network, it creates the variable, it calls the trade direction, it tracks itself, it puts all that information into a database, which I have a compiling system called a data processing center that you'll see in DexTrader that is bar none the best I've ever seen, and of course I'm biased, but I've never seen a data processing center out there like that. Why did we create all that stuff? Well, because I needed you to be able to, as a trader, be able to follow a process. And that process needed to be very easy for you to do. You didn't need to be taken over by all this extra stuff, all the extra variables and things, you know? So not having to worry about all those extra variables and all those extra things, you now can just trade with the signal itself. And what does that look like? Well, here's that data processing center I was telling you about, where all the information gets compiled into a lifetime success. Now this is for the Nadex system. I'm putting one together for here is the NA intraday results, okay, for Nadex as well, and that's for the DexTrader network. But the process for the DexFxWorld hasn't been compiled yet. I'll be making that here shortly, where it does the same thing but in more detail. All right, that's really important. And that's what it comes down to, is the amount of detail that you have to make that bot work to be able to trade for you. It would be irresponsible for us to put that out there to the world. I've gotten, when we told people we were releasing this thing, that, you know, or about it, that's just the DEX bot itself, I got a lot of flack. I had people You know, why don't we make it available? You're a piece of shit. You're a scumbag. You're a scam artist. There's no bot. You know, you're just saying this so you can trick us into doing signals. Man, you get the evil of evil when that stuff happens, right? And it's very frustrating, you know, because you work hard to be as transparent and honest as you possibly can. Now, by the way, we make it available through our signals. So the same thing that bot's doing for us in trading on our personal account, on our corporate account, it's also trading for and showing you the signal that it has. It's the same exact one. It does the same exact trades and signals for our system that it does for putting out there. That's how we return to the industry. So we have created a bot. It works very well. We use it for ourselves because that's what you probably should do. Because if I released it out to everybody else without you knowing exactly how to use it and build it to that level, I don't think, I mean, I personally, I have it and I only use it to trade within the system, but I don't make it advanced for myself to trade with, okay? I still have to pull it off every once in a while, and because it will do really well. I mean, you have to survive the drawdown, you have to be able to know those things, but I like following the signals. I like being hands-on. It scares me to be automated. It scares me to have something, like I said in the very beginning, why would we have a bot? You know, something could happen. So I pull it off periodically because I get worried. I'm a nervous Nelly when it comes to that stuff. I don't know about you guys. I get kind of overwhelmed with success or loss at that point, so I have to be careful. Now, like I said before, the real system, the real reason why we don't release it is that because how do we charge for something like that? How do we put a price to something on a subscription, even if we were to do something to have that kind of responsibility, would be several $100s a month. If it was worth it, you would pay it, right? But there's proof in the pudding. There's a lot of time that you got to do. You got to work it. You got to really make it happen. If we did charge a one-time fee, how much would that cost? And then what about maintaining of it and new releases? How would that be performed? There was so much involved in releasing a bot that would trade automatically. I felt like it was best if we just released signals and allowed you to do the effectiveness of trading. Those that say, I don't want to sit in front of my computer all day, or I have a full-time job, then don't trade. I'll be honest with you. If you don't want to be successful, a young man called me today. He said, how do I get the signal? Do I have to sit in front of my computer all day? And the answer was no. You can go to the website when you want to trade and trade. We trade in 4 sessions a day, 24/5 or 24/5.5, whatever it is, right? If you're trading Nadex, there's an hour in the middle of the day or at 5 o'clock that you can't trade, right? There's some nuances there, but if you're trading Forex, you could trade all day long. Or you could trade just 2 or 3 hours, right? We have signals that release in every single session. You could do well. How well? Well, let's go see. Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. I'll show you the breakdown for the sessions on July, just last month. Oh, this was a 3/4 month, by the way, too. So you can increase the amount of pippage by a little bit, not much, but by a little. But this is the last 21 days of the month. We didn't lose data. Well, we did. We had a corruption in the data pack, but I wanted to show from July on because we had created a new variance. We took off some of the poorer performing pairs and put on new ones, and we restarted the data pack here. I could show you historical data back to 2 years, and it would show it could still positive. I think it was like 59% total, but there was some bad times. But even with the bad times, it only lost. There was only 3 sessions that were in the negative, and only 1 negative day out of the 1.5 years worth of packet information. I think it was like 400 days of trading, and that's still very powerful. All positive ROIs except for 3 sessions. So if you traded by hand, just the U.S. session in July, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, this would have been your success rate if you traded just the signal. Now there's things that we can show you on how to trade that to be able to get that. You can probably even use those in spreads on Nadex if you wanted to at that point. That's how powerful the system is. If you traded just the Asian session, you didn't do as well, but you didn't lose. You made money. Now you just add volume to that consistency, CVG, consistency plus volume equals goal. And this is from 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the evening, to right around 3 o'clock in the morning, right? If you trade that session, East Coast time. If you traded the London session, you did about 948 pips if you traded every single trade. Right? Your best performing pair was the Audi JPY sitting at a 72% success rate. You made 60 pips though. You didn't make a lot. You won a lot. You could add a lot of volume to that if you just traded that pair. But this data, when you sign up, is all available for you. That's right. If you want to, I can even share you the link right now on what we have right here in the chat room. And I'll pop it in here and you can copy and paste it to your page and keep that available for yourself. I do that because I want you to see that data is very important to us. We're not some company who shows you just a single screenshot and says this is how well it's done in this short period of time. But I want you to see that there's a reality to this company. I'll wrap this up very quickly now. So we use the bot for ourselves and for signals. Okay? I'm not going to show you live accounts or demo accounts and all that other kind of bullshit. There's a saying, right? The proof is in the pudding. That's what most people call it. But the saying is not finished. The proof is in the pudding is in the eating. Okay? And that means that the only time that you can have the proof is that if you begin to eat the pudding. So you have to get in there and start using the system to make sure it works. I've showed you that we're sincere, that we're transparent, we got good customer service, and we have a system. The system is the entire network. Now you have to do your part. You have to get in there and start working it. We have three choices for you. We have dextrader.com, dexindicators.net, or dexfxworld.com. Now, before you start pulling your hair out, start wringing your hands together. They're all very easy to navigate. DexTrader, if you want to trade the NADEX network, that North American Derivative Exchange, very safe company to work with, very low amounts that you can put in there. You can start trading that process. There's some nuances to it, but we have NADEX Ninja as a course. There's a lot of courses in there, and it's all the training on the site's for free. You can go in on DexTrader and Dex Indicators and join free and just go through all the training before you get signals if you wanted to do that. Okay, has some pretty powerful signals in there. There's a lot of them. I think you've seen some of them as we were going through. There's the dailies, there's the intradays, there's news avoidance intradays, which have a very high success rate as well. There's the SR Maxes, which is a scalping network of getting in and out of trades and showing you how to use. There's onboard charts. There's a lot of stuff over at DexTrader. But keep in mind, the Forex trades are not over here. There are trades that we make priority towards for the NADEX system alone on this system. If you want to trade, and of course, yes, you now see that I use WordPress, and that's okay because we're completely transparent. But if you want to trade signals or use signals for Forex, for DexFxWorld.com is the place to go over to, and you'll just hit the getting started. But this is where everything is at here, with plenty of training about the trades and how they are used, the Forex training or the Forex signals themselves. We even have some other signals that we'll be putting on here as well. Some stop loss trades, that kind of stuff. And of course, there's the results page that we were just on as well. It's and there I'm asking myself if I need help. But that's where our forum is at as well, in case you need any help within the system. All right. So DexTrader is for NADEX. DexFxWorld is for Forex. You get about 50 to 100 signals a day covering every session. And Dex Indicators is if you want to do it yourself. There's some indicator systems for MetaTrader 4 that you can use for NADEX or for trading Forex as well, with some strategies in there as well. Very simple. Now, in order to know what we offer, of course, we're transparent. As you can see, we're customer oriented. We do consults. We have a deep understanding of the trader's mind and the methods and your mentality, and a willingness to help those get to their idea of success. For your time today, I want to offer you $20 off your first month on anything that we have. If you use this code on DexFxWorld.com right now, you'll get $20 off your first month. It's $97 a month, not $20 off. Now you're paying $77 for your first month to check stuff out. What do you have to lose at that point, right? If it doesn't work out, then you kind of know we're not the company for you, or you're not good for trading at that point, because I can't make it any simpler from this point on. This has been one of the longest webinars I've done, not the longest, but one of them. And I know we covered a lot of information. I hope you're not sick of hearing me talk, but I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be here. And I hope that you can take an opportunity to join us tonight. If not, then I wish you the best of luck and hope you all trade well. For those of you that are watching this after the fact, thank you very much for getting to the entire part of the video. And hopefully you didn't skip too much and hopefully you got some information from it. Join us, be a part of our community, and I hope to see you inside. For everybody else, stick around. There's a questions and answers right after this. I hope to see you stick around for a few minutes and ask some good questions. All right. I'm Max Farrow. This is Dex, the family of system of traders, and we hope to see you inside. And as always, trade well. Good night.